When Harry took a look at his horse that morning, he became so stressed that he knew he had to take action. It was difficult to ignore the marks that had mysteriously developed on the animal's body, and Harry had absolutely no idea what they were or how they had gotten there. But the veterinarian had a startling answer for him. Now, Harry had no choice but to wait. In the hopes of discovering the cause of the unusual marks, he had rushed his beloved horse to the veterinarian. The veterinarian had been composed and upbeat on the phone, but as soon as he met the horse in person, his demeanor abruptly changed. Harry was not allowed to be present for the horse's examination. The veterinarian only wanted the horse and himself to be present during his checkup. Harry had no clue why this was the case. But when the veterinarian eventually emerged from the stables, he had a response for Harry. The vet's face was very pale, and he stammered as he attempted to explain what he had seen. Poor Harry did not believe it at all. How did Harry's horse get these peculiar markings? What had the veterinarian found, and why was he so horrified by it? Harry entered his stables that morning to feed his horses as usual. His favorite horse, Angie, was fed last after the pigs and chickens. But Harry was horrified to discover the awful scars covering her. Beginning at her neck and extending all the way to her tail are some strange markings. He immediately dials the vet after running inside. Harry was correct to believe there was no time to waste. Fortunately, Harry is used to calling the vet for emergencies. When the vet heard that there was something wrong with Angie, he answers quickly and promises to be there shortly. But before he ends the call, he asks Harry, "Wait, what kind of marks?" "To the end of her tail." Harry answers in the affirmative, and the veterinarian hangs up silently. While Harry is waiting, he quickly loses his patience. Given that the vet hung up the phone to get over right away, he ought to have arrived by this point. Harry returned to Angie, who is currently lying down, to pass the time. He makes another call to the vet as he begins to worry, but an unpleasant surprise was in store for him. He calls and calls, but nobody picks up. He has one other option: he can call the vet on his cell phone. Harry knows the vet doesn't like that, but time is running out. He called, and when the vet picked up, Harry heard nothing but the wind blow in through the line. He keeps trying to reach the vet by calling his name, but with no result. What was going on? Harry understands now that he has no other option than to take the horse to a different vet in another town. It would be a challenge, as it was at least a 30-minute drive, and it meant he had to get the horse in the trailer now. But Harry was about to get unexpected help. Harry is taking his trailer back to the stables when he sees a young woman entering his property. He puts on his glasses to see it's the daughter of his vet. What was she doing here? He greets her, but when she gets closer, he can see that she's clearly worried about something. The first thing she says is, "You can't ask me why, but please, let me help you." Harry is shocked but is eager to accept her help, as he fears for the health of his horse. He tells her about his plan to take the horse to another vet because her father won't respond. She agrees with his plan but doesn't say a word about her father. What did she know that Harry didn't? The marks on Harry's horse are clearly getting worse. His horse can barely stand on her own feet and seems to be in a lot of pain. The vet's daughter reacted with shock when seeing the horse, and given the fact that she had lots of experiences with horses, this reaction said a lot. There was no time to waste. Once they managed to get the horse in, only a 40-minute drive was separating them from saving the horse. Besides, this drive was the perfect moment for Harry to find out what was going on with his vet. He asked the daughter to tell him at least something. She remains silent. Then, finally, she says something. "You'll see soon enough, just wait." Harry accepts her response for now. He steps on the gas once more, making sure they'll be there as soon as they can. "Are we in danger?" Harry then asks the daughter. This question didn't really need an answer, because a car immediately pulled up beside them and gave the answer away. Even though the police officers driving the car didn't show too much interest in Harry and his trailer, they were surely on their way to the same town. Harry wasn't really impressed by their sirens and the lightning-fast speed of the police car, but after seeing the reaction of the vet's daughter beside him, he knew something was terribly wrong. She's completely huddled up, either because she's so scared or she's trying to hide herself from the police. Harry feels empathy for the poor girl. He slowly lays his hand on her back, but she rejects it right away. "Just get there fast," she whispers. "Only 10 minutes left before their arrival." They were too late. Not too late for the horse, as they managed to take it to the vet right away, but certainly too late to see whatever the police were after. The vet's daughter stepped out after taking the horse to the vet, clearly looking for her father. It was obvious that they had to look for him. That meant they wouldn't be near the examining vet, who was about to make a terrible discovery. The vet's daughter started by dialing her father. Harry told her he had already tried every possible number. It wasn't as useless as he expected, as the vet picked up. She walked away, not allowing Harry to hear the conversation. Harry looked from a distance when the daughter burst into tears. She then threw her phone emotionally on the ground, looking at Harry. Harry's done being left out of the situation. Wasn't his horse in danger? He demanded that the daughter tell him what they talked about on the phone. The daughter understands and asks him to get in the car. He did something terrible. He's about to be arrested. You'll have to hear it from him directly, Harry. But right before they drive off, the vet who performed the examination of Angie runs out of the clinic. Wait, he yells. Harry rolls down his window, looking worried sick. What is it? Harry shouted. I might be able to save your horse, but someone is responsible for this. I called the police. They asked you to meet them. They said you'll know by now where to go. Harry doesn't even take the time to answer the vet and drives off right away. At this point, he's so overwhelmed by emotions that he is turning against the daughter. You already knew this. Otherwise, you would have no reason to come to the farm. The daughter doesn't answer, she just starts crying. What did her father do, and what was her part in all of this? Harry and the daughter finally arrive and see multiple police officers arresting the veterinarian. They are putting his head on the car hood as they cuff him. Somehow, his daughter calms down from seeing the arrest. She must have really feared her father. His arrest was a relief for her. Harry steps in to talk to him and the officers. But the police don't allow Harry to get any closer. Sir, stand back. Harry thinks it must be because of the arrest taking place, yet he's very surprised. The leading officer takes him away and tells him he cannot speak to the vet yet. How strange. Harry was not amused and demanded to know what was going on and why he still had to wait. Apparently, the police are still waiting for the final results of the examination. Without it, they can't finalize their arrest. Harry is shocked. In the meantime, the arrested vet calls Harry's name again and again. Harry looks at him. The vet says nothing but looks at Harry with kindness once their eyes meet. Finally, the leading officer received the expected call. Harry is smart enough to stay close. He tries to hear what is being said, which isn't too hard, as the leading officer puts the call on speaker for the other officers to hear. Angie, Harry's horse, is doing as well as she can in these circumstances. But then, something truly surprising is told to the leading officer. The calling vet says, if you continue this arrest, you might end up in court yourself. Harry doesn't know what he's hearing, and neither does the leading officer. Was the arrested vet guilty, or wasn't he? The officer scratches his head, as he's contemplating whether to let him go or not. His upcoming decision would change everything.
The officer lets the vet, whose name was Peter, go. But while doing so, he looked him in the eye with great fury. He was clearly still suspecting him. Peter stretched his back and breathed a sigh of relief. He then walked in the direction of Harry and said the only thing on his mind, "Where is my daughter? And what did she tell you?"
Harry turns around, ready to point in the direction of his car. But he sees that Peter's daughter is no longer there. Harry and Peter start looking around, but don't see her anywhere. Harry looks at Peter with disbelief, but also a sense of suspicion. Peter answers this look by saying, "No time for questions now, we have to find my daughter." Harry accepts, and they start looking for a clue or perhaps a tip. It doesn't take them long. A young officer joins them when he sees their curious behavior. He waves at them to come over and tells them he might have seen something. The young officer tells them about a young woman running off at the very moment that Peter was released. Harry doesn't believe what he's hearing. Was she scared of Peter? Was she guilty of something? Harry couldn't think of the daughter as anything but innocent. Was he right? The young officer pointed out a little hill. The young woman ran over it, after which he could no longer see her. Harry and Peter started walking in that direction while trying to call her. Harry had many questions and wasn't planning on holding them back. They kept following a little road after walking over the hill, while Harry said, "I'm not asking you what you did or what you know. I just want to know why you didn't come once you knew what the marks on Angie were. Why couldn't I reach you and what kept you from coming?" Peter is clearly struggling to answer Harry's question. Peter struggles as he knows his code of honor as a vet. He failed the horse and therefore failed as a vet. Yet, he can't speak up yet, as he doesn't want to drag Harry any further in the drama that was behind all this. He sees no solution but to give Harry an answer that would displease him. "First, let's find my daughter, then we'll talk. I know I failed you and Angie, but I can't afford to fail as a father as well." Harry realizes he won't get an answer right now. Still, he was wondering about Peter's daughter's safety and realized they had a common goal of finding her. They arrive in a new town. This seems like a logical place for Peter's daughter if she truly wanted to escape. It was a good place to find transportation, as well as a good hiding place in case she was truly terrified. Could she possibly be here? "Darling, it's me, your father. I'm innocent, honest to God. Harry's with me, he isn't angry either," Peter screamed at the top of his lungs. They looked in alleyways and parking lots, but they got no reaction. Before they knew it, they were out of the small town without any success. Time was starting to run out.
The two men didn't really know where they were, as they stopped paying attention to where they were going minutes ago. Harry used this time wisely. He asked Peter, "My horse, she'll make it, right?" "That isn't the reason why your daughter fled, right?" Peter's facial expression said it all.
"I didn't see Angie, so I can't say anything about her condition. Let's just say, I think it says a lot that you haven't seen her yet." Harry listened as he wondered about what should worry him more. This game of hide and seek with the vet's daughter, his police drama, or his poor horse Angie, who could use his care right now. Harry had no idea to what extent these things were connected. The two men realize that they're lost and have to walk back for a while, in order to find their way back to their cars eventually. They intend to involve the police in order to find Peter's daughter. Finally, they recognize the little hill they started at. But once they have crossed the hill, they face a terrible surprise. Because the police are gone. Only Harry's car is still there. Harry and Peter look at each other in awe. For how long had they been gone? And more importantly, weren't the police interested in an escaping young woman who was the daughter of a suspect? Well, the police were certainly interested in her, more than the two men knew. Because of their lack of better ideas, Harry and Peter got inside the car, not knowing where to go from there. They needed a new starting point, Peter realized. "Let me call her one more time, but this time with your phone," Peter says. Harry agrees, on one condition. Harry tells Peter he is okay with calling her but wants to speak to her first. Peter protests at first, but as soon as he sees how serious Harry is about this demand, he caves in. Harry dials the number. It took a long while, but finally someone picked up. But it's not Peter's daughter who picks up, it's the vet, the one who is taking care of Angie. That's where Peter's daughter was, of course. Unfortunately, Harry can't seem to understand a word of what the vet is saying. Harry asks him to speak up. Finally, he can understand him, and is shocked to hear what he has to say. Because as soon as the vet made himself a bit more clear, Harry understood that he was about to operate. Operate? Why? No answer. What was going on with Angie? Was she able to be saved, and why was the vet picking up the phone instead of Peter's daughter herself? Well, before Harry could ask, let alone answer all these questions popping up, the vet hung up. Harry tells Peter what he was told, and Peter turns pale from shock. Harry starts the car. It was terribly clear what their next stop would be, but was their time. The pair arrives at the vet. They see at least 3 police cars in the parking lot, and as they keep looking, they see multiple police officers at the entrance, clearly guarding the place. A harmless place like a veterinarian's office suddenly looked like a crime scene, and a confrontation was awaiting Harry and Peter.
After some harsh words coming from Harry and Peter, they are allowed inside. After all, it was about Harry's horse, and Peter himself was a vet. Once they're in, Peter's daughter welcomes them. Against all odds, she jumps into her father's arms. She surely wasn't scared of him. What did she know? And why was she so relieved?
Harry leaves the father and daughter, now that he knows they're okay. He enters the surgery room right away, looking for his dear horse. And there was Angie, recovering from a successful surgery. She was saved. The vet assures Harry of her well-being, and Harry is terribly relieved. But what happened to her? And was Peter involved? As it turned out, Peter and his daughter were framed by a young man who had stalked Peter's daughter for years. He realized the importance of Peter's reputation as a vet and poisoned Angie, as he knew this was the horse of one of Peter's regular clients. He hoped to grow closer to Peter's daughter by getting her father arrested. The stalker was arrested, and Harry and Peter became friends after all.